seat taken?
Nobody's in the seat, then I ain't taking, son.
So this is, Sabacc?
Sabacc.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to Sabacc the Block. This is our Star Wars show. We are here to talk about the premiere of The Mandalorian Season 3. We saw the episode. You saw the episode. We're here to break it down spoiler style. I'm here with RB3. As you can see, we're doing things differently this week. We're here just to talk about The Mandalorian because we thought we would do its own special episode, make it its own special thing. I'm excited to talk about it with you, RB3, because I know you're a Mando fan. So tell me, how are you feeling about finally getting The Mandalorian back?
Yeah, no, I'm hyped on The Mandalorian. You know, it's funny because watching Andor gives you such a different perspective of what Star Wars TV can be and what, you know, the expectations could, you know, should be of, or, you know, not should be of what the potentials, the opportunities that are present in the Star Wars universe. But with Andor, Andor is, you know, a lot more political, a lot more talky, a lot more dialogue heavy. Andor is all about that action. And they the Mandalorian, they get right to the action, right from the jump, especially when that giant alligator looking thing hops up on Mandor planet, you know, as that kid's about to be baptized or whatever. Crazy stuff. Super good. Yeah, you know, I haven't, you know, I didn't talk about Mandalorian season 2 because obviously, you know, they had character on there that was you know, doing some problematic things at that time, so I was doing a mini protest. You know, that character is gone. They give her a little lip service, RP Cara Dune or whatever, but you know, she's out the way, and now I'm comfortably here talking about Mandalorian here with y'all. But yeah, that was some crazy stuff right there. That was just off the rip. We're getting, you know, a look into the watch, the child of the watch, their ideology, their traditions, you know, their hyper, you know, quote unquote zealous mentality. And but you know, nature was biting back at them. You know, nature was taking, you know, that big alligator. That was a crazy moment to just start off the episode with.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's so much to get to inside this season, but obviously they're kicking things off with where they left off in the Book of Boba Fett. I don't know if you saw the Book of Boba Fett, RB3, but they basically set up. You did?
I did not. No.
Okay. They basically set up the exact same premise they did in this episode, which is like the whole go back to Mandalore and bathe in the waters beneath the mines of Mandalore. And they said that they showed it in the preview before the episode, but that was from the Book of Boba Fett, which basically set up exactly what the Mando's mission is for this season or this arc. We don't really know yet, but it set things off to where Mando needs to accomplish his goal, and he needs certain things in order to accomplish that goal, which obviously the first thing he wants is a droid. And I can't lie, bro, the first thing I thought of is, why not get like a protocol droid, or why not get like a astromech droid?
Right.
But I remembered he had a droid thing. That's the first thing I thought of. I thought of R5. I was like, get R5, bro.
But yeah, no, I remember in season 1 he hated droids. That's why him and IG-11 had that trepidatious relationship,
and they got along eventually.
Yeah, they got along, and that's why when you go back to Navarro and you see they have a whole statue of them, like memorializing them, because he did make the ultimate sacrifice at the end. Season 1, you know, saving the ship, you know, kind of, and you see under the leadership of Grief Karga, you know, played by the legend Carl Weathers. You see under his leadership, you know, things have kind of turned around in the city. So, but yeah, that mistrust of droids goes deep, so deep that he literally wants to revive this killer droid. IG-11 was a killer droid before he, you know, turned good. So we see that scene of him going haywire. The R2D2 looking thing had to like push the C3PO. Yeah, C-3PO, C-3PO. That's right. That one.
Protocol droid, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He had to push the thing over. Yeah, it was that was funny all the way around. Just seeing that whole city back in perspective.
There's a lot to get to. Let's get to Grief Karga real quick, just because, like you said, Carl Weathers is back. We don't know how long he's going to be back throughout the season, but we know for sure he's definitely a character that you can check back in with. It's like video game style, where you just kind of check back in with him in case you need different things. But how'd you feel about seeing Navarro back, seeing Grief Karga in charge, and seeing Carl Weathers return in this role?
Yeah, he was good, man. He was good. He was fun. Like I said in the beginning, they kind of just like kind of alluded to like, oh yeah, Cara Dune, she's off. She joined some missionary thing, and then they go and then they get hit by those pirates. And it's again, that literally is another reminder of the difference between this and Andor. Like Andor, you might get one action scene an episode, if that. Don't even really expect an action scene, honestly. This with Mandalorian, yeah, within a 30-minute span, you get about 3 or 4. You get these pirates coming up, about to rob them. That was crazy. But yeah, it was, you see the transformation, but you still see there's like a seedy little underbelly like going on inside of the universe too, going all the way up to the thing. But yeah, it was funny seeing even Baby Yoda in that spinning chair when they first enter the office. Yeah, all the details, and also seeing after they were getting the droid fix, when we go back and meet the droid Smiths, who were the same creatures that Rise of Skywalker. So
and Zelens,
and Zelens, same funny speech that they had. Still, I don't know if it's a little racially motivated or not, but I definitely think it's fun to seeing them back.
What are they supposed to be, Mexicans?
I don't know. Like, what do you have with them? That baby.
I think they're hysterical. I love those little guys. I love Babu Frick the first time I saw him in theaters when I went to see Rise of Skywalker, and I think a lot of people liked them as well. I feel like this episode did a lot of things, man. I feel like this episode, it followed the formula that we all know and love from The Mandalorian, which is basically like, here's this mission I need to do, and here is what I need to get in order to do the mission. Now here are obstacles getting in my way in order to stop me from completing this mission. In this episode, the obstacles were the pirates, which we see them pop up like 2 or 3 times throughout the episode. My favorite is definitely the space battle, because we get to see Mando show off his pilot skills. And we see that it's crazy how we kind of forgot how Mandalorian is just like Terminator. Like, homie is the Terminator. Like nothing gonna stop him. Even in the skies or in the space battles, he is unstoppable. Everyone was just like, where is he? I don't know. He's still coming. And I'm like, this is Terminator in space, where he's just behind the wheel and he's just killing every single pirate. I just thought that was really cool. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, no, he's definitely a A-list pilot. It's funny seeing Baby Yoda now has this little like cockpit little area to above, like seeing this thing. What was curious to me was when they were in hyperspace and seeing those space creatures that were going at the same speed that they were going with. I don't know what that was about. Was that a hallucination, or was that some real thing? Or I don't know what that was about. That must be building up to something.
No, that's an actual creature in Rebels that is super important. It's like a big deal. Yeah, it's like a huge, it's like Tulkun all over again, bro. But they're in space, and they're basically sentient as well. It's super similar to Tulkun. Shout out to Avatar: Way of Water. But they're called Purgles. And that's the stuff that's connected to Ezra Bridger. There's these hyperspace, basically magical creatures that can travel at hyperspace speed that are super important in Rebels, super important in Star Wars in general when it comes to characters that we're going to see in the future. I'm referring mainly to Ezra, but obviously Thrawn is super connected to these creatures as well. Thrawn is like... he's like the character who's hunting down the Tulkun. But this isn't actually like, this is another Star Wars thing, RB3. It's kind of interesting that you don't know about it. You don't really need to know about it, but it's a whole thing inside of Rebels. Yeah.
What's interesting, I watched the first like couple seasons of Rebels, and now that you're talking about, I think I might remember like an episode or two where they might have like addressed that. A But like, yeah, that's crazy that like now they're introducing that. You think there's something that's gonna play up in the Mandalorian that's gonna pop up in this series?
No, I think what they're doing is they're setting up, they're doing exactly what they've done all the way back from The Mandalorian season 1 or season 2, I guess, is set up for future events and future shows, right? So we know we're getting an Ahsoka live action show. An Ahsoka live action show is supposed to be about where's Ezra or what's up with Ezra. Last we saw Ezra, it's with these creatures. So it literally is just kind of like a lead up or a hint to what we're going to get in Ahsoka. Kind of going off that, this show is not afraid, RB3, to do all the winks and nods, all the cameos. This is not Andor, where it's very limited when it comes to the kind of references that we get. We get a billion references in the show. And when it comes to the connectivity that we get across these shows. So my thing is, we're getting into Mandalore, we're getting into Bo-Katan, we're getting into the armor, the watch, all these kind of backstories. We start the episode off, like you said, with the kid from the Child of the Watch. If we see these creatures hinting towards the Ahsoka show, and we know that in the Ahsoka show, we're going to get Sabine. Sabine is already cast. She was at Star Wars Celebration last year, so it means they already pretty much have her in the bag for the entire season. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Sabine is like one of the biggest, baddest Mandalorians in history. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Sabine show up. She was a former user of the Darksaber. I don't know how you feel about that, RB3.
No, I mean, I'd be hyped for that. You know, just seeing Sabine, you know, I'm not as familiar with Clone Wars as much as
Rebels, you mean?
Rebels, yeah, exactly. But I do remember her character, yeah, being super. I mean, the colorful hair, you know, everything about her just seems like super cool. And yeah, I mean, we got those. I like seeing the other Mandalores with like other attitudes, right? Like with different shifts and different kind of dynamics, because we see how Bo-Katan's dynamic with Din Djarin is like so different, and how, you know, how her perspective is so vastly different. And obviously Sabine is maybe a lot more fun loving, but also a lot tough, you know, maybe tougher in other ways too, right? And honestly, probably even stronger in some ways. So yeah, I'm hyped to see what they're gonna build to with that. I mean, you know, like I actually don't know. So who's cast as Sabine in this series?
I don't know her name. I'm gonna pull up her name. But she was at Star Wars Celebration, live action actor.
Because Bo-Katan, Katie Sackhoff really did now casting with that one.
Yeah, I mean, she was the voice of Bo-Katan in the show as well in Rebels.
I know that.
Yeah. Let's her name is Natasha Liu Bordizzo is her name. But she was at Star Wars Celebration promoting Ahsoka, which means she's going to be a major part of that show as well. And again, she is part of the quest in Mandalore, inside of Rebels, and she's part of the war in Mandalore inside of Rebels. Like, she's a heavy hitter with her family and with what she represents for the people of Mandalore. So I would be kind of surprised if we don't see her, even if it's at the very, very end, kind of like a Luke Skywalker kind of thing, setting up for Ahsoka. And just like I said before, if the Book of Boba Fett connected to the Mandalorian, there's no way that the Mandalorian won't connect to Ahsoka. There has to be some sort of connection there. But how'd you feel about the ending of this show, seeing Bo-Katan and knowing that that's now his mission? Do you feel like this is going to be extended throughout the season, or this will be finished up by the 3rd episode when it comes to him bathing in the waters? I mean,
yeah. I think they're gonna do that pretty quick. I mean, you know, even then when you go back, I was just rewatching season 2, you know, a couple weeks, you know, leading up to this episode, and they get through a lot. I mean, he goes on like a lot of different missions. It's like you said, it's like a video game almost. Like, you almost check in to one thing, and then one thing goes one way. Like, you know, with the first, I'm reminded of the season 2 first conflict of like delivering the frog lady with the eggs, right? And you know, I thought that was maybe going to be for a lot longer, but yeah, he literally finishes that up by episode 3. In episode 4, he's linking back up with you know, Carl Weathers and the Cara Dune and all of them. So it's like, Yeah, I think it probably will be something that he gets to those waters and he sees something down there, or he encounters something down there that he wasn't expecting, or maybe that's when they introduce like Sabine or somebody who's like a classic Mandalorian or Mandalore character while he's in that space.
Yeah, what do you feel like this is leading up to when it comes to the entire season arc? Do you feel like there's something being led up to? Do you feel like there's something building?
I think, I mean, this is me being more like a cynical media person or media like observer, but I think they're gonna kind of build towards letting him not be as a traditional Mandalorian person, in the sense of like, hey, we're gonna see maybe a little bit less of the mask situation. You know,
Oh wow.
I think they want to play, and I'm saying that because, hey, look, Pedro Pascal, he's like hot as stone right now, and I think they really are trying to milk that. I mean, they said at the premiere, you could see more angles of like, Din Djarin and stuff of that nature, and more about the Mandalorian identity. That's like kind of the theme. And I don't know, I feel like the way, just the way that this is setting up as this being the central theme of the first episode, and the kid in the bath, the kid in the bath being masked up. I just feel like that's just something that's gonna play into it. Maybe by the end or halfway through, is he maybe realizes he doesn't have to be the traditional kind of Mandalorian idea that he thought he has to be.
What do you feel about a potential, and this is speculation, I really don't know anything, a potential conflict between, to me, this is just common sense, between the armor and Bo-Katan, two female Mandalorians with two polar opposites point of views. What do you think about them clashing?
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I don't really know that much about the armor, because was she a bigger character in
No,
or is it okay?
original character, yeah.
As a new character, okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm curious. I mean, yeah, she's really affirming like, this is the way. Like, you have to be super traditionalist. It's like the divide that we've seen all through season 2 into the season of like the ways to respect the Mandalore tradition, and comparing it to real life, quote unquote, religions, or whatever. But maybe this might not be like the most proper metaphor, but it's like, when people are traditional or Zionist, Muslim, and they wear their headscarf, there's some people who do that. There's some people who don't choose to do that because they are a lot more or they're a little more secular, or they don't believe as much. That's kind of like the conflict I think they're kind of exploring here. So I'm curious. I mean, they always talk about Star Wars being a metaphor for religion, for faith, the Force being a metaphor of faith, but now it's testing it in the sense of tradition. So I'm curious to see how that goes on.
I'm right there with you, because obviously the themes are literally there when he, even in episode 2 of Mandalorian season 1, where he literally says, "This weapon is my religion." He says the word religion. Like, it's a very religious, traditionalist kind of point of view, to the point now that I'm like, all right, what are we going to conclude by the end of the season? Because at this point, we're kind of used to his religion and his tradition and his way of life and his point of view, to the point now that we don't really question it. And we don't really, I don't know if we have a need to question it, right? Is there anything that he's done wrong because of his religion or his creed? Not really, right? So I'm curious what they're gonna conclude. I don't know what you think, but
yeah,
I don't know what their conclusion is going to be, what their premise or their thesis statement.
Again, I think it's just, let's get Pedro out the mask so you can sell him on posters a little bit harder. You know what I mean? Like, that's honestly why I personally think. And honestly, dude, it's so funny because we're talking about the Mandalorian also being kind of a father child relationship, yeah, that we see in that we might compare in like The Last of Us too, which is also on HBO, right? That lone wolf and the cub setup. But and The Last of Us is definitely, and that one is definitely a lot more about the relationship dynamic and what's growing and what's festering in between them. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. I feel like they kind of more or less abandoned the what Baby Yoda's place is like in this show as of right, at least as of right now. because in the first season it was very much like all about Baby Yoda, all about Grogu. Second season we learn more about him. We learn, when we get the return, when we see Ahsoka and we see like the return and all that to the Jedi and all that situation. But it's just like right now, I don't know what's the mission. He's just kind of being like carried around with him at this point. So I don't know where that's building to.
Yeah, I agree. I really do feel like they're eventually going to figure out what to do with Grogu. But I feel like now it's if you look, it's kind of clear where this is going. There's only one eventual conclusion, RB3. If Grogu left Luke and he's not going to be a Jedi, just that thing is all abandoned. That whole Jedi arc is gone. Potentially, we don't know yet, but for the most part, it looks like that's what's happening because the whole Luke angle is gone. The only other conclusion is kind of like what we saw in, I don't know if you saw this, or you didn't see the Book of Boba Fett, so you didn't see this episode. But where Luke is literally telling Grogu, do you want to be a Mandalorian or do you want to be a Jedi? You can't be both. And Grogu doesn't make a decision at that time, but we later learn that he chose Mandalorian. So it cuts away, obviously. But if he chose Mandalorian, he's got to go all the way in, bro. We got to get a little baby Grogu mask. He's gonna put the little chainmail on. Like he's gonna be a Mandalorian. He's just gonna be really little.
Okay.
I think that's the only conclusion. I think he's just got to take up the mantle. He's gonna be a little mini Mando, a little mini Din, with the mask.
You imagine what kind of character is that going to be in like 10 years? Like who? Like are they going to make that a movie? Is going to be like Mando Yoda, like a Mando?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm serious. I'm not even tripping. Like I was thinking about this as I was watching the episode last night. I was like, I think this is where this is going. Yeah. If you've seen that Photoshop image of little Grogu with a little mini Mandalorian armor, have you seen that on Twitter?
No, I haven't seen that.
That's what's gonna happen. I just think that's what's eventually gonna happen because that's the only conclusion. He's now officially his son. He's now officially a foundling. He's now officially a Mandalorian. So I feel like it's weird, but it might just work. I don't know. RB3, what do you think?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know I don't know. I guess he's a Mando with the Force. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
But she'll be, he's gonna get a little taller. Is he gonna be like not a baby? Like it's probably gonna take him at least like 50 more years to not be a baby, though, right? Like, yeah. So this is probably gonna have to be like in the sequel trilogy or post-sequel trilogy era that we see him like actually matriculate into like teenage Mando, Yoda or something. Like
he's always gonna be small, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not gonna get tall. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's interesting. I would be interested to see like a mid-teen or adult, baby or adult Grogu that's doing backflips. That's like prequel level.
Yeah, backflips.
But pure Mandalorian get up in gear.
Yeah, backflips with a blaster, like a mini blaster.
Yeah.
And just being like pew, 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 and just flipping around and taking dudes out. And then he'll throw like a blaster and then pull it back or stuff using the Force like every once in a while. Yeah, I could see it. I could totally see it, man.
That might be the hardest video game character of all time, though. Like, not gonna lie. Like, that would literally be the most OD Star Wars video game character.
Low key, I don't know, man. That sounds kind of fire. I'm gonna be real. And obviously, a lot of people have a lot of thoughts about flipping Yoda and all that. But I think it works great. And I think it'll work in the show if they do it correctly. But the only thing I really want from Grogu, at least by the end of the season, is some sort of recognition, some sort of ability to learn. Because I feel like there's been the past 2 seasons, there's so many times when Mandalorian repeats himself to the point that I'm just like, even a baby would get this. Like, just don't touch this or just do this, or like eventually he can learn.
Stop eating them ladies' eggs, please.
Fuck. Yeah, exactly. Like, I just want to get to a point where Grogu isn't just a baby, but he's kind of like a smart baby.
Right. Like Baby Groot.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But either way, man, any other thoughts you have on this season premiere?
Nah, that's all I got.
It felt good, right? It felt good to return to this show. It felt different. It felt like we're so used to, like you said, Andor, and the grounded Andor style, and that's top tier. But at the same time, there's something special about this show. It really is. I can't deny it.
It's like old school adventure, sci-fi, fantasy, that type Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. And it works, man. It works really well. Shout out to the creators of the show. Shout out to Pedro. They're doing really well. Katie Sackhoff. Shout out to Katie Sackhoff, man. One of the first people I met who was famous in Hollywood.
From the show, from the schmoes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Shout out to her, man. She's killing it. But either way, guys, those were our thoughts on the Mandalorian season 3 premiere. Let us know what you guys think in the comments down below.
Shout out to Rick Famuyiwa. Sorry. Shout out to Rick Famuyiwa.
Yeah.
For this episode, always kills it. Black director of and directs a lot of the episodes of Mandalorian. Super killing it, and USC grad. So I gotta shout that out too.
I think he's gonna do a few more. I think he's gonna do the first 3 maybe, or 4. I think he's doing the first 3, but either way, yeah, shout out to him. He's killing it so far, and obviously he's got to do a very important job of setting up the season, which is super crucial as a director. But either way, guys, those were our thoughts on the Mandalorian season 3 premiere. You can check us out at First Cut TMO. Follow us right here on this channel for more Mandalorian coverage. We're going to be back with Sabacc the Block next week. But you can follow me at Squad Leader Ace. RB3, where can we follow you?
Follow me at Director RB3.
By the way, guys, for the Sabacc the Block crew, my bad. We're going to be peacing out, so peace.